Hey, what's up, guys? It's Apollogia here, back with another What If. So, before continuing or beginning anything, I would like to thank you guys for reaching 300 plus subscribers on my channel. If you like my content, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. So, yeah, this is a What If on Naruto The Unforgiving. This is written by Disobedience Writer. You can find it on fanfiction.net. So, yeah, let's begin. This is a one shot, by the way. Uzumaki Naruto felt the eyes on him as he walked from his field. He paused and tapped his sturdy shoe against a tree stump. Hours spent in the field could build up quite a muddy crust. He breathed in and out and a few times. Yes, there were 5 watchers. 5, a mere 5. He continued back to his small house. His network of informers had told him that this day would come, but he hadn't expected it to come this soon. To only send 5, it meant Konoha didn't know who he was. They didn't understand what he could do. They had totally ignored him for the last few years, giving him a chance to thrive. They viewed it as him fading away. He thanked the unmerciful Kami as time to get ready. If he was nothing else now, he was ready for anything, especially 5 idiots staring at him from the forest outside his farm. He suppressed a smile as he entered his home and shut the door. He spent a few moments preparing instant ramen once he entered his home. He hated this stuff normally, now that he had access to a wide range of fresh food, but he was putting on a show for his watchers. After all, Naruto Uzumaki loved ramen and hated 3 minutes it needed to cook the instant ramen. That was all anyone seemed to remember about him. They didn't know anything else, and Naruto had no intention of tipping them off. Wouldn't his watcher experience surprise when they learned that Naruto had changed, had grown? He went to bed a few minutes after the sunset. It was midsummer, and sunrise came fast to a farmer. Plus, he wanted to give his watchers more time to work up their courage. Placed mental or odds. He placed mental odds, one chance in three, that his watchers would be abductors this evening. Naruto woke just after 2 in the morning. His watchers were trying to enter his home. The blonde ninja rose from his bed and wrapped a robe around his bare torso. He picked up a special package of senbon and stepped without a sound from his basement bedroom. He ghosted up the stairs. He didn't even need the feedback from the ceiling arrays all over the house to tell him that there were 5 intruders. He could hear them, he could smell them. Once he got to the main level, he he'd be able to see them in the dark. That wasn't to say that the ninja invading his house were good. No, not at all. Maito guy, for his office off duty behavior, was all business when on an assignment. His student, Yuga Neji, was as taciturn as always. The other three, obviously skilled at masking their chakra signatures, were experienced Jonin. Naruto didn't recognize them by smell, but Konoha had. Over 300 Jonins when he'd been banished. That was 6 years earlier. People came and went in the ninja world. It was one of their very few truths that always held. In 6 years, even Konoha could find and mold some new talent. Not everyone was held to an impossible standard by incompetent politicians like council elders who expect a basically raw genin named Naruto to perform a retrieval task without injuring a fleeing ninja who was unwilling to stop flinging around assassination jutsu. Of course, Sasuke was going to get injured. Sasuke had few shattered muscles in his arm and upper chest, a few broken bones. The medic corps had him back in top shape within a few weeks. The whole hearing had been a phrase, and Tsunade had just frowned the whole meeting. Even if people had objected to the short trial, no one had argued for him, no one had defended him. Banishment, as hard as it was to accept, was actually the best thing to ever happen to him. Freed from hateful village, freed from well meaning, if ineffective, teachers Naruto had to learn on his own. He had to question what he really wants after the tantalizing apple of the Hokage role was gone. Now, Konoha was back for good or ill. He wouldn't have it. Was he to blame that Sasuke escaped again a few weeks after Naruto's banishment, or that Sasuke's broken body was found in a rice country? Naruto had been in Spring Country, talking with Princess Yuki when all of that happened. Of course, even a daimyo's word would be enough for people who weren't interested in the truth. Konoha had just ended the unofficial truce Naruto had declared with them. This breaking into his home was an overt act done by known Konoha ninja. They would pay for their action 6 years ago and for their action this day. Naruto stood still on the top stair and listened. Two ninja were in kitchen, just past the door in front of him. Two others were in his guest room. The last one had gone outside to keep watch or to cause mischief. It was hard to tell what a ninja might do on any given day. Naruto paused. Naruto pushed the door in front of him, opened just an inch or two. The well-oiled hinge gave nothing away. He withdrew two sin bonds from the package, pulled back his arm, took a breath, and checked his aim, and then released the thin needles from a crack in the door less than an inch wide. Naruto was in motion before the needles reached their targets. He had two more to deal with inside his home. He was in a narrow hallway before he heard the thud of two falling bodies. The noise was just enough to bring the ninja out from his guest room. Two more Senbons found their targets, the critical nerve clusters of would-be assassins. A few moments later, Naruto determined where the fifth ninja was. He was attempting to stage some kind of an accidental fire near Naruto's home. Naruto left the Senbon alone this time. He climbed through a window and stepped from stone to stone in his garden. He had purposely kept a rather noisy selection of plants, dry grass that crush underfoot, for instance, in the space surrounding his home. The only way to move silently around this place was to know precisely where the paving stones were. Naruto ran this course and other like it was a few times a week to keep up his skills. As he stepped off the last one, 10 feet from the window he exited, he bent down and pulled a sharpened stone from the ground. Four hostages were plenty for interrogation purposes. Anyone attempting to set fire to his home wasn't worth keeping around. A moment later, the distracted ninja, frustrated at the light wind that kept extinguishing his matches, didn't even notice when a 6-inch segment of stone entered the back of his skull. He flopped over dead. The fire he had been working on unconsummated. Naruto bent down and turned this ninja over. He removed the man's obscuring mask. The blonde ninja didn't recognize his victim. He couldn't understand why someone would be so eager to set an innocent man's home on fire. But justice in this case was served. Naruto lifted the bulky ninja and carried him to an outbuilding where he normally kept a few head of cattle or some sheep. At present, the building was empty, save for a cooling corpse. Naruto spent nearly an hour getting his four guests ready for interrogation. He named a soundproof room in his basement for tasks such as a rather commentary of Uzumaki Naruto's life post banishment. He had entertained several leaf ninjas over the years. Some claimed to be serving the betterment of society but without authorization. When they came, others refused to answer, refused to reach much at all. It had taken Naruto some time to puzzle them out, but he determined them to be a special sub branch of the village and old institution called Ni. Still, other ninjas were hired by Konoha civilians or council members, some from recognized villages, some from unofficial clans, some missing ninjas from Cloud or Mist. The first glowing member of Dawn were in the gray sky when Naruto woke his first subject, an aging Jonin called Might Guy. Wa Uzumaki Naruto. Relief Jonin had lights focused on him and could not see if his target was in the room with him. The man, for his ridiculous attire, didn't recover well from disorientation. I am here. Now tell me, Konoha Ninja, why you have entered my home this evening? Why one of you attempted to set fire off it? A scowl appeared on Leaf Jonin's face. That was most unyouthful. I didn't know that anyone would do something so. The man shrugged for a word that wasn't related to youth. Tell me, why are you here? To recall your service, Uzumaki Naruto. The council. At that word, Naruto threw a senbon and struck a pain cluster in Might Guy's arm. The Jonin did not scream, but his face showed a momentary disruption as he struggled to adjust to the pain and not react. You would do better to speak only for yourself. The council banished me 6 years ago. They told several people in the village that they expected me to die without the protection of the Hidden Leaf village. I have no fondness for that bunch of shriveled husks. The council, as you call it, with reversion, is a subject you do not wish to resurrect with me. Might Guy bit back the pain and said, Naruto, you must stop this. I must bring you back and see to your real re-enrollment in the ninja force. Naruto stepped in front of the light, used to disorient his subjects. He wanted Might Guy to look at him, to see him without any dirt or grease on his face, without a bandana holding down the bulk of his hair. The Jonin gave the gasp Naruto expected. You died, Yondai, Yondaime-sama. My father did die. I am Naruto. I am his son. Of course, no one from my birth village ever told me of my parentage. It was a bitter Eva ninja who taunted me with the fact as he tried to kill me almost 6 years ago. You looked like the man who slaughtered my sensei and my older sister all those years ago, but he was strong. And you are but weak, banished idiot. Tell your father, that bastard, Yondam Hokage, that I despise him and will attack him in afterlife. He died a few moments later, although I was grateful for the information. So, my guy, tell me why I would return to the village that I grew up, that my father ruled, and that banished me. Guy just stared. There is no good reason, is there? It's someone's whim to recall me, to lift this banishment, to drag me back to your peasant village. Obviously, I have my own opinion on this subject, but I will permit you to tell me why you think I would even be interested in returning. I do not know, Naruto-sama. I do not know. But it is all the more reason why you must return. Must. Naruto's voice sounded bland, but those few who knew him recognized the danger lurking inside his question. The taijutsu, the taijutsu, the taijutsu specialist nodded vigorously. Yes, the new Hokage has recalled you. Oh, he wanted to the last figurehead. Oh, what happened to the last figurehead? Might Guy looked troubled. The goddamn succumbed to alcohol poisoning. Naruto snorted. He had heard that already, but it sounded so odd for an acclaimed medic ninja to die from something so stupid, even if she did drink like a fish. He didn't believe it was the truth cause of her death, just that it sounded plausible. To anyone who ever heard of Tsunade's personal habits, she sold her soul to that council years ago, them using some threat or other to keep her plained, and now she was dead by on one of their hands. Plotters have no place in civilization. When discovered, Naruto believed they needed to be ruthlessly dealt with and ended. And who is the new Hokage? The council elder selected a ninja named Okawa Taisen. It's not a famous name, Naruto said. No, the new Hokage spent his entire career in Anbu. Naruto nodded. He filled in the blanks for himself. The Anbu has been Ni. The old ninja Danzo was too useless to become Hokage, but he lived long enough to place an adherent into office. Did the new Hokage tell you why I'm being recalled? To protect you. A grim smile lit up Naruto's face. Protect me? I think not. It's true, Naruto-sama. The Akatsuki are still moving, trying to collect, well, trying to do unusual things. Naruto smiled. The word unyouthful was so odd, but it fit this strange man perfectly. He was nearly his 40th year of age, and still judged everything by its youthfulness. I have no fear for the Akatsuki. I suspect I'd be in more danger from your new Hokage. A gasp emerged from the Jonin. What an youthful what an unyouthful thing to say, Naruto-sama. He set me out to assist you, to bring you back to safety. Naruto assessed his target for a moment. Was he lying or was he that oblivious? Might guy. You claim that you have rivalry with my former Jonin sensei. Did you never hear his abomination? To look underneath the underneath. No, I suspect you're a more straightforward person than that. If you can't see the world for what it is, I cannot change out your eyes for you. I do not understand. Naruto threw a senbon and rendered the Taijutsu specialist unconscious. The man seemed to genuinely believe he was here to improve Naruto's life. He had likely been given different instructors from the ninja who'd been attempting to stage a fire. Too bad that dead man relied too heavy on chakra-based techniques, which could be detected if used during a forensic investigation, and didn't know how to use matches well. It's true that you don't understand, Jonin of Leaf. The hidden leaf has fallen to an internal enemy, and you support your enemy without even realizing it. A power foolish man you are. Naruto spoke with his other three subjects. Neji was just like his Genin team's sensei. I am here to perform a mission to aid Naruto and improve my village. The other two gave up almost no information and did not reach to pain or threats. They were Ni. Naruto walked out into his field just before noon. He had a plan to develop. He had long ago realized that physical labor, doing something with his hands, helped his thinking. He farmed non-stop for 3 days and nights. When he heard of Jiraiya's death, the man had been one of the very few to ever show an interest in him, to help him to try. He had been more obsessed with his pornography than with Naruto's progress, but Naruto still treasured his memories of the man, still vowed vengeance. Naruto couldn't believe the man failing and still mourned what might have been at the same time. Jiraiya had been a final important connection to his father, to what life would have been without the Kyuubi's attack all those years ago. He spent 2 solid days and nights out here after Itachi and Kisame finally tracked him to his location. After he met four of Pain's bodies and heard how Pain was a student of Jiraiya and had mocked his sensei after killing him. He cut down a large patch of forest and put in a new vegetable garden that had taken 5 days and nights. He had Now he needed to decide what to do. Konoha had become even less friendlier The useless old lady he'd helped convince to become Hokage was dead. Someone more useless and corrupt was now in power. Konoha had proven itself no longer a bunch of backstabbing assholes. No, they had just moved themselves into an enemy category. The unknown truth was destroyed by their actions. It, it's one thing to send anonymous fodder. It's something else to send two renowned taijutsu specialists like Guy and Neji against a banished Genin, well known for his lack of taijutsu skill. They were enemies now. Uzumaki Naruto did not treat his enemies well. He worked well past sunset in the field. He worked past the rising of the full moon. He worked until he finally recognized dew collecting on his rake and hands. He had a decision. He walked into his storeroom and pulled a veil of a hypnotic drug and learned how to fashion from a grass ninja 3 years ago. He had some suggestions to make to these Konoha ninja. Might Guy dragged his dead and half dead teammates back to the Hidden Leaf village. Neji was blind in one eye. The one called Bamaru had a wound on her leg that reopened once every few hours. One of the two who hadn't volunteered any name was without an arm, and the other was dead. It took him an hour to move 2 miles with so many wounded companions. Once he got within border patrol range, he had many more helpers to get his team back. By sunset, he was in hospital getting examined. Neji was sedated. The fatality count rose to two. Only Bamaru was still alive of the three unfamiliar ninjas. The Hokage sent a messenger demanding a report at 8 o'clock. The heavily wounded Jonin walked from the hospital to make his report. Youth in he hadn't said anything about youth in these days. Might Guy began coughing ferociously as he walked up the stairs of the Hokage tower. No one stopped to ask after him or check on his condition. The leaf had changed a good deal since old Sarutobi's death. First a slide into general indifference under Tsunade, and now a total freezing of emotion, care, and concern under Rokudame. In that moment, Might Guy made a decision. He was retiring from active service today. He would leave this place soon, maybe tomorrow or the day after. It wasn't the best sort of place to retire to. It no longer felt youthful. It hadn't for a long time, not since his student Rock Lee had perished on a mission. He finished pulling himself up the stairs. Then he had made to stand, as the Hokage had moved all the seats from his waiting area. For 20 minutes waiting for the summons to enter. The pain in his calves and thighs was almost unbearable. He didn't remember precisely how he'd been wounded so badly. He couldn't only think of being flung by some type of explosion. When the door opened and the Anbu stepped out of the way, permitting Might Guy inside, he felt a big bit of gratitude which didn't entirely wash away the anger from being forced to make the report under these circumstances. The Hokage was seated behind his desk. The man was in his early 30s. Might Guy knew nothing almost about the man techniques or power. He didn't know that the man had never trained a Ganning team, but the Tsunade never had either. Just a sole apprentice. The man was totally unknown. Where is Uzumaki Naruto? The Hokage asked in a demanding tone. He is dead, Might Guy responded. The Hokage blinked a few times and stared at the Jonin in front of him. Excuse me, please explain yourself. I initiated contact with Uzumaki. We spoke for a few minutes near his house. He seemed interested in the idea of returning to the Hidden Leaf village. The sound of an explosion rocked the area. Three men in black cloaks were soon upon us. The Kage sighed and held up his hand. Describe the cloaks. Identical to what Uchiha Itachi wore, the Katsuki cloak. What happened? I was clubbed by a massive sword. Everything else I don't know what happened. Neji told me that one of the ninjas summoned other ninjas, perhaps clone of some sort, and level everything. The one who clubbed me unconscious with the sword ended up blinding one of Neji's eye. He didn't see much at all, since the pain of losing his half Byakugan, while active drove him unconscious. And Uzumaki, you sure he is killed? I found the remains myself. I had thought that Akatsuki intended to capture, not to kill him, the Kage muttered. In the midst of combat, it's unclear whether anyone can really be that precise. The Kage frowned and nodded. I record this mission as a failure. Then the council will wish to discuss this disaster at a later date before you resume your duties. This will certainly be a dark spot on your record, Jonin. I understand, Hokage. I offer my resignation. The Hokage looked surprised for a brief moment. Then he gave a signal, measured nod. Accepted. Your career is over as of today. You will be responsible for your own medical bills as of tomorrow. I understand. Might Guy bowed and then left the office. He felt much better. He was done working for this Hokage. He felt severe pain as he walked out of the secure floor and down the stairs. He didn't care. He no longer thought about the Hokage or about being a ninja. That was in the past. He was focused on his new future. Might Guy did not notice when a secret door popped open and an elderly, crippled man stepped out and began to speak with the Hokage. 1 week after Might Guy left Konoha, a tall man wearing a black cloak with red clouds approached approached the main gate. The two joining on guard duty saw him only 100 meters out and sounded the alarm. It was too late. The stream just inside the village walls was filled with water elemental sharks. The Ambu who attempted to come out and aid the Chunins at the gate died. The Chunin died with a massive sword shoved off the top of their heads. From the south, a massive explosion rocked the walls of Konoha. A crazy laughing blonde riding a bird of some type of lobbed bomb after bomb. Buildings and peoples exploded. Very, very near the center of the village, near the Hokage's tower, two ninjas dropped the illusion they wore. One began swinging a massive three-blade scythe. The other began using usual elemental shark attacks. From the west, a female blonde ninja made a series of hand seals. Then five other ninjas of all different shapes and appearances shimmered into view. One leveled 100 meters section of the village wall and housing. 100 civilians and a few ninjas died in less than a second. All across the village, the Akatsuki, even the reputedly defeated and killed members, were wreaked havoc. Uchiha Itachi let loose his feared black flames in the market district. A woman who commanded paper like it was it was essential walked straight inside the Hokage tower and killed everyone she came across. The puppet user used a massive amount of puppets to pull every child from the orphanage before setting it alight, with all of the adults locked inside. He left the children unharmed before moving off to do battle with a newly arrived Anbu squad. Inside Hokage Tower, the paper user was joined by the scythe user and his stoic partner. It took them less than a minute to find the Hokage. The middle-aged man stood in front of an ancient ninja and protected him, as if the Hokage was a mere bodyguard of someone else. The paper user said, "We have come for Might Guy and the team that interfered with the capture of Kyuubi sealed into Naruto Uzumaki. Turn them over and we might leave some part of this village intact." The old ninja began to speak before the paper user threw a kunai made of paper through his throat. He looked at the man dressed in the Kage robes and hats. "You are the Hokage. Speak for yourself. You killed Danzo-sama," he yelled. You were a proxy then, the woman said, disappointed and annoyed. He done. He's useless to us. You may have him for Jashin. The bloodthirsty priest smiled and began his ritual. The woman and the old ninja left the room. As the scream began, she began to pull paper from her sleeves, each marked with complex explosive seals. She covered the top floor and then the stairwell in these explosion seals. When she exited the building with her aged companion, the Hokage tower exploded. Who cared if Hidan was already out? He survived just about anything. She headed off to where Pain was waging battle. As she went near the academy building, she saw a disagreeable little ninja in an orange mask, killing left and right, but never any of the incapacitable students. By the time she reached the outskirts of the village, the place was ruins. None had found Might Guy, but the mission was success in a way. Enough survivor remained to spread the story of this devastating attack. The reputation of Kartsky would grow, even if the Nine-Tail was dead. The other members made their way to the centralizing point. The orange masked Toby was the last one. The Nine-Tails burned when he went into battle. He lit entire countries on fire. But he's dead. So this village burns instead. At top of his lungs, everyone within 200 meters heard. It was enough. Pain Godrel made a single hand sign, and it collected. Karski left the area. The story would wind its way to every corner of the world within a week. The Akatsuki was on the move again. Even the supposed strongest ninja village could fall before their might. Uzumaki Naruto walked off his fields and back into the small house he lived in. Sorry about that. Where his bedroom was and his interrogation chamber was located, and then unlocked the door to a secret stairwell. He walked down another 20 feet underground. Inside the small room, he craved out where his greatest treasure he didn't like being forced to utilize. He had the ribbon contract from its last user. He had a chakra eating sword named Samehada. He had a massive three-knifed scythe. He had five odd masks, each in the style of particular animal. He had a block of clay-like substance that could blow his entire house up. He had a small collection of puppets and a large collection of sealing scrolls, with even more puppets inside. He had a scroll detailing the process of becoming a paper user. He had an orange mask with a black swirl upon its one eye hole. He had collection of piercings, enough of six bodies, that he kept in a special crystal ball. He had 50 or 60 other mementos from important dead foes. He learned from those he fought, from those who attempted to kill him. He took from them their techniques, their skills, and their reputation. Akatsuki were dead to a member, but it was more fearsome, more alive now than it had ever been. Naruto had more surprises in this secret room if he ever needed them. He pulled a scroll from his dirt-stained jacket. He swiped blood over a seal, and out fell an orange-jacketed book and a cloth mask. His newest acquisitions. It had taken his shadow clones he'd left behind as scavengers. Sometime this acquired these items. Even a useless ninja like Kakashi would live on in death. His reputation grew every few years. Naruto would just need to learn the Chitori to make the mimic effect. Not that not that hard compared to Shinra Tensei, or how to use paper-based jutsu, thought tied to a bloodline. No, Conan had just been a genius, or Genius of near epic proportions. Thankfully, mimicking a lazy ninja was always simpler than one with skills. Getting his Itachi performance correct or his Madara, those took time and skills. Even Kisame took nearly 3 months to master. Kakashi would take a long weekend. Naruto turned around and climbed the stairs. He sealed up his hidden room and went to fix himself some dinner. He steamed some vegetables he grew and a fish he caught. It wasn't much of a life, but it was better than what Konoha would have offered. The risk of betrayal from such people grew and grew. It was good he'd had a few years outside their notice to become truly strong, to be ready to survive. Now Naruto was a peasant farmer, but Akatsuki and Konoha Ni and Sharingan no Kakashi and so many other legends were ready to reappear from time to time and grow their legend. He turned his enemies into his shield and sword. Naruto would remain a peasant farmer, and the world would explode from time to time when Akatsuki destroyed a village, or when Hatake Kakashi visited a village in the Earth Country to level it. Safety in obscurity, Naruto has used his chopsticks to lift his steamed fish onto his plate. His vegetables would take a few more minutes. He sprinkled some salt and began to eat. It was simple fish or a simple life for a simple ninja, for a spirit ninja, for the one who never forgave and never forget. So this is pretty much it, guys. This is a whole one shot that I done today. So I'm sorry if I stuttered in the middle section. That was because of the complexity of the words. So yeah, if you like this one shot and want me to do more fan fictions or other stories, I would do them. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, comment down below. So I would be starting my own what if series, right? I would start writing it. By that I mean I will be writing what if Naruto was fused with Hashirama, Madara, and Hamura and Hagoromo with Godzilla. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. This is Apollo Chia and I'm signing out.